Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting for July 12th, 2022. It is approximately 7:05 p.m. If we'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Roll call, please.
Mayor Griesbach?
Here.
Mr. Hizzy?
Here.
Mr. Poach?
Here.
Mr. Stevenson?
Here.
Mr. Wolfram? Mr. Adams?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Biondo?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. Ratcher?
Here.
Ms. Rock?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Sedlak?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Welcome. I want to start the meeting. On Thursday at our agenda-setting meeting, our Citizens Night meeting, we had a medical emergency that was handled unbelievably well by Councilman Poach, Police Chief Cole, and all of our first responders, our dispatch center, police. There's a very long list of individuals involved that saved that man's life. I'm happy to report I did speak with Mr. Sheets this afternoon, and he is home and doing well. He wants to express his gratitude to everybody. He plans on coming to a future meeting. He's still going to be talking about that blinking light, but he is. I just want to stress to everybody that he is doing well. Kudos to Mr. Poach, Chief Cole, everyone involved, and so he gave me his permission to tell everyone that this evening. But I wanted to reiterate that to everybody that's here and anybody that happened to witness that on our live broadcast. So moving on with the meeting. So we have introduction of new employees. Mr. Little.
Yes, we have two new employees we have hired, and we're happy. And I don't see Marissa, but Flora, you're here. Flora Papagiorgio. She started, about 2 weeks ago? I know. Did I get
He's
it right,
been practicing.
Flora?
You practice
it, right.
Yeah, you practice.
Flora has a degree, a Bachelor of Science in Human Development and Family Studies, and she is the new secretary for the Parks and Recreation Department, and she came from us from Connect RX in Pittsburgh, and she also worked at Cigna Group Operations, and we're welcome to have you. So,
Thank you.
so welcome aboard, Flora.
Welcome, Flora.
Okay.
Welcome, Flora. No speeches are necessary. Don't worry. You just had to show up. Great job.
Yeah, and we'll get Marissa. She probably got cold feet or something. But we'll get her next month.
And she'll have to actually make a speech. So
Yeah, she'll have to make a speech because she wasn't here.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, welcome, Flora. So we're moving to our public comment on proposed agenda items only. This is for residents to speak about any of the agenda items. There is a public comment period also at the end of this meeting for any municipal item. But this one is just for the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to speak on the agenda? Seeing none, closing that comment period and moving over to an executive session announcement. The council conducted an executive session before Citizens Night on Thursday, July 7th, 2022, and before the council meeting tonight on Tuesday, July 12th, 2022, from 6:15 to approximately 7 p.m. for personnel and litigation reasons. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the Tuesday, July 12th, 2022 council meeting. Council, moving over to our minutes. We have the Capital Improvement Program budget hearing of May 12th, 2022, the Citizens Night meeting of June 9th, 2022, the council agenda setting meeting of June 9th, 2022, and the regular council meeting of June 14th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions, comments, or corrections? Seeing none, there is a motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye. Yeah, you nominate.
The ayes have it. Moving over to reports of our tax collections. Council, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. Motion and a second to approve. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
The ayes have it. List of bills and budget transfers. Council, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And all these items were reviewed at the July 7th agenda-setting meeting. Payroll report. Council, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and second to approve. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities. Council, it's in the blue section of your packet. Mr. Hizzy, do you have anything this evening?
I have none.
Mr. Poach?
Not at this time.
Mr. Stevenson?
I would like to nominate Ruth Payne for the library board.
Second?
You mean, what, that's an appointment, she already.
Wait.
She
She was nominated,
yeah.
yes, she's nominated, and she's due for the appointment.
Yeah,
So you-
Mr. Stevenson, is that an appointment?
Yes, I'm sorry, it
No
is.
problem. And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Anything else, Mr. Stevenson?
No, that's all, Mayor.
Very good. Mr. Adams?
Nothing.
Mr. Williams?
Nothing.
Mr. Biondo?
None.
Very good. Council, moving over to our consent agenda, we're starting with our new business of 22-2-SUB Constantino Consolidation Plan. Mr. Little.
Yeah, applicant is requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval to subdivide and consolidate tax parcels 977 and 347, 978A389, which is considered the first tract, and 978A389, which is considered the second tract, and one lot totaling 2.121 acres. Property is located at 4334 Northern Pike in the C2 Business Commercial District, and the Planning Commission has approved with conditions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Very good.
Good luck with your development, sir.
Yes, good luck.
Good luck.
Council, moving over to our motions, we have two this evening. Mr. Little.
Yeah, the first is a motion to approve the property acquisition for Tricog Land Bank for the properties located at 306 Interlaken Drive and 3767 Evergreen Drive.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Questions or comments? I would just comment that the land bank, I think, still is a great asset for Monroeville, and it's a good program to be involved with, and this is an example why. So this is great. So there is a motion, second to approve. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Okay, a motion to approve a half-banner ad in the 13th Annual Jewish Community Calendar in an amount of $250.
Make a motion.
Second.
There's a motion, second to approve.
Yes.
Yes.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Council, moving to our resolutions, we have one this evening. Mr. Little.
A resolution authorizing the municipal manager to enter into an agreement for the municipality's participation with the County of Allegheny for snow and ice control of county roads for the years 22, 23, 24, and 25.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Council, we are moving to ordinances. We have one this evening. Mr. Ratcher.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 290, Property Maintenance of the Code of the Municipality of Monroeville, and repealing ordinance numbers 2023-2298, 2391, 2479, 2685, and 2685 by adopting the 2018 International Property Maintenance Code and additional regulations listed herein. regulating and governing the conditions and maintenance of all property, buildings, and structures. This matter is on the table, so the first action, if council decides to vote on it, would be to remove it from the table.
I make a motion to remove it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second to remove from the table to potentially act on this item. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
Very good. Now, this ordinance is on the floor for action. If anyone wants to make a motion to act on this,
I'd like to make a motion, accept it.
Second.
Question, then I'll.
yep, motion second to approve.
Approve.
Mr. Poach, you had a question?
Yeah, question on the motion, too. So we had tabled it last time, so it's, as I recall, we were waiting for this to be sufficiently, like, worked out that we were able to adapt to it?
Yes, there were some additional regulations that,
We're coming.
that the staff wanted to put in, and they've done that.
Great.
And I've reviewed them, and we're ready to roll.
We're ready to go. Great.
Mr.
Thank you.
Hugus, anything else to add?
No, the one subject matter that's been a point of discussion over the years that is in here now is, there's a new section, it's titled Maintenance of Billboards and Outdoor Advertising Signs. It was originally thought to put it in the revised zoning ordinance, but Mr. Ratcher and I discussed it and figured it'd be better to be put in the property maintenance code versus the zoning ordinance. So that's one of the items that kind of held this up for a month.
And these are specifically like digital signs,
It speaks mainly about digital signs.
right? Because that's
But all signs in general,
very good.
maintenance of.
Yes, because that's been an ongoing issue
Correct.
because the technology kind of got past our regulations, actually. So I think that's an excellent thing to add into this ordinance.
Yes.
Anything else from your department? You good?
No, I'm good.
Council, any questions or any other questions or comments?
No, thank you.
The only other, I would just comment, and I think we do this all the time, the 2018 is the most up-to-date property maintenance code, correct?
No.
It actually is
No.
not, but what we do is the Uniform Construction Code, which is regulated by Labor and Industry,
It's like
they regulate to us what edition of a code we use.
Okay.
We use the 2018 ICC family codes. So when we adopt the property maintenance code, we adopt the same edition as we do as the building and fire
Oh,
codes.
okay.
So they're parallel with each other.
Okay.
And going back, good. And then going back to the digital billboards, if this is approved, we can act on that effective immediately? Any
Yes,
kind of maintenance issues?
yes.
At the end of the
Yeah.
day, no.
And the problem is,
Overtime.
there's, if it goes through the zoning ordinance, there's a very cumbersome process in the zoning ordinance to try to enforce zoning conditions. It's streamlined when it's in the, when it's in the, or just our general code.
So then it won't be addressed in the zoning
Correct.
ordinance? Okay.
Correct.
Well, just for general information, the latest code is a 21.
21.
Correct.
It's every 3 years.
That's right.
Any other questions or comments?
And one more, just to reflect back on that. So what happens is, a lot of times in a building code and a fire code, they refer to that specific edition of the property maintenance code. So that's why we use the same as that. So because if we use the 21, that code may not reference the 21 edition.
The numbers would be different or wouldn't?
Correct. It may vary a little bit, so that's why we use the same one.
Okay.
Very good. Any further discussion, council? So we do have a motion and a second to approve this ordinance. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hizzy?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Biondo?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Moving over to our reports of municipal staff. Mr. Ratcher, do you have anything this evening?
Nothing to report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Little?
Yeah, one thing before I go to the 4 items on my report, I put on council's dais, as Josie and I discussed at the agenda-setting meeting on the capital improvement program, that we were going to give you an aggregate of each priority, that you prioritized the items on the capital improvement program. And the aggregate of each, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, Josie had to take them out 4 decimal points in order to group them correctly. That is at your station, so she has that. I didn't put it on my report because I didn't know if that was going to be done, but Josie got that done today. I figured I'd give it to you as soon as possible.
Very good. Thank you. Nice work, Josie, but it's definitely a
Thank
lot
you.
to digest for council.
Yes,
This
it is.
Great work.
Okay, one item that I thought I'd get in front of council here, I didn't talk about this because on Thursday, because I had my monthly department meeting with Jared Robinson, is that he has a lot of archived videotapes, and these are VHS videotapes downstairs, and he would like to dispose of them. Now, going back about 3 or 4 months ago, we thought maybe the library may want them, and we contacted Nicole Henline. Initially, she thought that she, may take them off his hands, but when she saw how many there were, she decided against it. Now, we would have to dispose of these under the Municipal Records Act, just like anything else, and just like we have disposed of financial records and anything else, we have a resolution which is coming up very shortly to dispose of different financial records, mostly financial records, but things in the police department and just regular administrative documents. But in conjunction with that, Jared needs a space downstairs, and he would like to dispose, and I suggested everything, which it goes back to 1984, from 84 to 2010. But I thought I would just bring this, I'm not looking for any action or anything from council, that if any council member, any person in the public that thinks they want something that maybe their spouse or somebody was on council, the planning commission or something, that they wanted to save it for posterity, speak up within the next month or forever hold your peace.
Funny you bring that topic up, Tim.
Yeah.
I'll address it a little bit in my report later on, and
Sure.
can speak to it too, because there is a group interested to do that.
Now, this is obviously up to council, whether or not we dispose of all these. It's your call.
These
What
will
would be
not
the
be
latest, what would be
copies.
the most recent?
I was looking to 2010 and keep everything back to 2010. Legally, once the minutes are approved, we do not have to keep them. So it's up to council how many years you want to keep. Do you want to get rid of any of them? I mean, it's all up to you what you want to do. I mean, what the Municipal Records Act says, whatever you have to keep for administrative purposes that you think you have to keep for administrative purposes.
What's a government standard? 7 to 10 years, keep records?
No, for videotapes like this, no. They are not, well, I can't say, I mean, because there are case law, because Bob and I talked about this a couple years ago on a different matter, but there is case law where videotape has been entered into a case, but that's a specific thing. The Municipal Records Act says, once your minutes are approved, those are your legal documents. A videotape is not. Now, if, Bob would have to address that, Bob Ratcher, on where, a videotape, and we're probably not talking about what we have archived here, because we have no lawsuits or anything like that going on with respect to the videotapes that are archived.
Because most communities in the Commonwealth, don't have any video footage. Or at least not that long ago, they don't.
Right.
Did you say they're archived?
Yeah, down to 1984. They're on the show, they're all VHS.
Well, this
They're
is
not,
gonna-
haven't been put on disc or,
No, and that's,
Nothing.
Mike, you bring up an interesting point, because I talked to Jared about that too, and he said you could put them on disc, but you can't truncate the time or reduce the time. It will be the same. It would take, if a meeting was 2 hours, it would take 2 hours to transfer.
So
So it'd be a very long and arduous process.
happy to bring, might as well bring it up now, then, okay, Tim. Sorry I didn't speak about
No,
it.
go ahead,
too.
go ahead.
Coincidentally, yesterday, I met with the Historical Society on some other pieces that are doing that. For example, I saw the actual original resolution that created them, because they have it, okay, from 1970. Carol Pickens and George Dale and all the people that signed it and things like that. So they are doing some of that actual work and plan to do it. Some of this is also available free of charge to do some of this work. So I've asked them to try to pull some things together before the end of the year to consolidate that. I brought up the fact that we are doing, a number of things from our website to in improving that communications and improving our ability to do that. Their archivist at the moment is actually has moved some videotapes of events and things that have happened. If you go to a YouTube right now and look at the Monroeville Historical Society piece, you'll see a video that was taken, and things that shows like the Miracle Mile in the 60s and 70s. You know, they are doing some of that kind of work. And I said, at this point, I said, let's talk about what that would take to move forward between our resources, their resources, and if they want to continue to raise any funds in an archive project and stuff too. And I'll come to that at an event that they want to put on as it comes forward. So physically, the space, you're correct, the same answer in terms of archives that they have. And, you know, and it was supposed to be in this original resolution, the library. There isn't any room. There's not, you know, to do that too. So that's, Nicole's absolutely correct, you know, to do that too. So there's a group that they're willing to do something with it and move forward on it. Like you said, once we have it digitally, do we want to have access for it to search? They want to work on that. The gentleman's the archivist now, took over from Dr. Chandler, which we all know, but Jason is an IT guy. He's the one that's doing that and looking for other services, and I've asked him to take a look at what else they need for that help too. So physically, I guess on the short term, you know, we want to make sure Jared gets his space to do that. And then, so maybe we may have to do something about the physical storage for a short period of time until they can finish putting together a project to do that. For example, these things can be done at Carnegie Library. Actually has a resource, and by the way, for anybody, if you have the old videotapes that you want to, you know, that you ever want to change over into any of the medium, you just make an appointment and you can go do it at the Carnegie. It's free. It's in there. So they're looking for some of those kind of things to do that. So instead of getting rid of them, and then, Tim, we'll have to figure out the steps to finally, if they're copied, and then to get rid of those pieces of it then.
Well, and just like how Tim mentioned, I
Yeah.
mean, I think maybe extend a little bit of time here, whether it's, you know, anyone from the public or anyone that's currently employed, whatever you want to say, but the historical side, maybe wait to hear back from them. And they may not, I don't know if they were thinking they would want to do everything.
Much
or,
as they're
or they may actually say, okay, well, here's some high
Or
points
they
we
may
wanna
consider,
hang
raising
on
some
to.
funds to be able to do some things and bring a service in, and people like that, you know, so they're looking at those kind of things. And I asked them, so, well, if there's something to put before us, let's talk about it before the end of the society, the end of the year, so.
So maybe we could revisit this for next month's meeting, Tim? Maybe kind
Sure.
of no action until next month, maybe just to
Sure.
give everybody enough time?
Yeah, sure, okay.
Okay, very good.
How far did it go back, to the 80s?
84. Jared told me to go back to 84.
Well, there's some good ones.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I thought, you know, when Jared brought this up to me, I thought, well, you know, maybe a family member wants to keep something from 1990 or something that, oh, I remember that council meeting, they want to, you know, and if they want to come and get it, fine, you know, and we would note that if you put it on a disposition resolution, we would note that this one was given, you know, but most of them, I would think that, other than the Historical Society, if they can peruse through all that VHS and maybe want something there.
Or maybe Jared could start showing some reruns.
Come in handy, yeah. The best
Tim,
of.
how many are you talking about?
I mean, actual numbers of VHS, I don't know.
And
I don't know.
they're not considered a hazardous waste item if we're doing that many?
Well, that was another that I didn't even want to get into because
Oh,
Jared
okay,
brought
yeah.
that up too, about how to dispose of them. We would have to figure out a way, and maybe the people at ECS or the Pittsburgh Resource or Pennsylvania Resource Council would have the answer to that. Okay?
Very good.
All right. All right, we'll put it in a holding pattern for right now. Hear that, Jared? Sorry, Jared.
Sorry, Jared.
Sorry, Jared.
Hang on to him.
All over 'em.
All right, number 2 here, speaking of recycling, the Household Hazardous Waste and Electronic Collection event that we have about 3 times a year will be July 16th, which is this Saturday at the Public Works from 9 p.m. to 1 p.m., and register on our website is encouraged. Also, after a 2-year hiatus because of the pandemic, the Community Day is back, July 30th, with the 5K race beginning at 9 a.m. and Community Day 11 to 6, and sponsored by AHN and Forbes Hospital and Highmark. And so everybody come out and enjoy yourself. Okay, number 4, National Night Out is Tuesday, August 2nd, from 6 to 8 at the Community Park West, Pavilions 2 and 4. And to finish my report, obviously, just kudos to Mr. Poach and Chief Cole for their actions Thursday night. Good job.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Little. Mr. Hugus, anything this evening?
No, sir.
Ms. Ruck?
Nothing.
Very good. Open the floor to anyone from the public that would like to address council on any municipal item.
She's our new reporter.
I know.
Seeing none,
Say something.
closing that comment period and moving over to reports of our council members. Mr. Hizzy,
I only have one thing. I'd like to have, the manager direct Jared to put a list of all the county roads and the state roads up, because that's 90% of the calls I get all the time. Can you do something
on
on
the
this?
website.
Can
It's
you
on the
do
website.
something on this?
They're on the website under
They're on the
public
website.
Oh,
works.
okay, I didn't know that. I will inform him. Other than that, I have nothing.
great. Mr. Poach,
A couple of things, more personal items and things for us, as well as some things to report on. First of all, the day, our last meeting was, I think, the 14th of June, to do that since last week. And then the next day, I want to offer condolences to both my former colleague, Mrs. Gatos, that was over here in the First Ward, and then to Mike Kelly, who sat over in this chair for many years, too, on the death of Kim Sutton. It's Mike's daughter and Linda's sister. She passed away on the 15th, to do that as well. And so certainly our condolences to them. That was a long and arduous tour to do that for that family. And Mr. Stevenson attended the services and made the refused to do that as well. Much appreciated. Also, best of luck to Mr. Wolford and his dad right now. I know he's been quite sick and ill too. Hopefully things will work out for Steve's dad as well. Building on what I started with the Historical Society, it really begins with first and foremost, Paul, the call had today was thanks to Paul and Public Works and Mike Strom and the whole team for getting the bell together. Well done. I know it was a time-saving.
Wasn't me, they did the work.
Well, you guys got it done because it was an interesting project to get done. And the Historical Society wants to build on the fact that it's completed, and as a fundraising activity, they're going to be at the Community Day on the 30th as well. They want to go through the ability to auction off the right to ring the bell for the first time towards Labor Day.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, to do that. So, yeah, it was a great idea. I forgot Renee's last name, came up with it. It was in that group, and I talked to Bruce Walker and Jay. So that's,
They float? You talking about?
Renee, it was Renee, that's it. And so they were, interested to do that as well towards Labor Day. So it'll give it a little bit of time. I have no idea the details yet, too, but certainly there'll be a community day. They're going to put something together, and I think it's a great idea, to do that. It was the bicentennial bell that we finally got the right history of it, too, that was, donated from somebody had found it. It has no other, they couldn't trace it very far back, but it's been there since 1976 to do that. Says they're most appreciative of the work that those guys did, to get that done, so they can begin to use that again. So I have no idea how much yet, but I'm sure we'll be all looking for, a few dollars to be able to do that, and they'll start by the 30th in fundraising from that. And then that was the other piece was then they're going to work on some archiving projects. They want to work between, they've had the conversations with the library, they had conversation where I said, let's continue to talk to Jared. Didn't know about the videotapes at the time. They're interested to do that. Some of the Monroeville's historical records are in the McGinley and house as well. Not very safe all the time, from some things. They're really doing the best to do it. It's spread out all over the place. Number of maps and things are in place. I had no idea yesterday, matter of fact, that the Old Stone Church, we have Civil War veterans as well. So they want to look to do it. And we need to follow that up, Tim. Did we ever get back the banners, the veteran banners? They came to it before us about a year and a half ago. I forgot. COVID
on that-
interrupted everything, I believe.
Well, no, that wasn't a COVID issue. With Duquesne Light, you're talking about the vertical pole banners,
Yeah.
yeah. With Duquesne Light, one of their requirements was that only 20% of the banner can be an advertisement. So and we told them that, I'm talking about CGI, the company, the same company that has a video on our website. We told them that about 3-4 months ago, and so far, everything is, and Paul Estog's been busy with the community day and everything, and I haven't followed up on it. So that's where we are right now. And we don't know if CGI would say, okay, that's okay, but we don't know if they would solicit businesses if they would only want 20% of the banner, on the banner, only 20% of it. So I don't know how that would work out. So it's in kind of a limbo right now.
and same thing with the size of the banner?
The size, only 20% of the size of the banner.
But you can
That's
make-
what Duquesne Light said.
Right, but they could make the banner bigger to keep it all
Well,
proportionally the same.
Well, yeah, CGI has a certain size banner and
Okay.
everything.
And I don't, the rest of council probably wasn't present when they first came to us. It's been a little bit while, but these are the, frequently you'll see, they were, in the veterans was the start of it too, for, you'll drive through a town and you'll see a photo of someone, to do that as well. It was part of that. But telling the historical side, we have people from the Revolutionary War here, to do that, and they're really trying to build on that. I think they have every war, I'm not sure they have an 1812 veteran, but they have everybody, their Civil War on through to do that, so it'd make it a real interesting mix, here in Monroeville.
And there's no restriction on who owns the roadway?
No, I mean, the county and PennDOT have given us their requirements, which they don't seem onerous or anything like that. It's Duquesne Light. Now, you're talking about veterans, I mean, as far as CGI is concerned, they would be soliciting businesses. If veterans would go up there, then that would be all on us, and we'd have to be the one to pay for the banners, put them up, install them. Public Works would have to put them up. But in this case, CGI would contract with a local company here. In fact, they give us 25 free banners that we could put up at the park or do whatever we want, and we could put maybe.
We saw a
better than
Monroeville
that.
symbol with them too, something else.
Yeah, we have 25, but I don't know how, the issue is, I don't know how much business would want to go on the banner if they can only have 20%. Now, Murraysville has banners, and they probably have First Energy, they don't have Duquesne Light. And if you go down Old William Penn Highway, and I looked at those banners, and I'm thinking, well, maybe First Energy has the same requirement. But I looked on that banner, it seems like it's more than 20%, so I don't know, but that's where we are in the issue.
Okay. And well, we'll see, we'll take that back to, if they want to continue with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in fact, I was thinking about that the other day, about getting back in touch with CGI and seeing if they want to go ahead and try to solicit with only 20% of advertisement on the banner. What would you say about that? They don't seem to be calling us back, so it doesn't seem like they want to do that, so I don't know.
Okay. All right, well, that's plenty for me, thanks.
Very good. Mr. Stevenson?
I just want to send prayers to Steve Wolfram and his family, and if there's anything that I can do to help, don't hesitate to call me. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Adams?
One question, it was brought up during the passing of the ordinance. How are we doing with the zoning ordinance that we sent?
Moving along, I mean, Paul gives, I get reports and they give updates. Gateway gives updates because they're associated with, Strategic Solutions is associated with Gateway. Paul, you want to add anything to that?
No, we have a meeting coming up on the 20th of this month.
Right.
And that's going to be our big first meeting since it started. So it is moving along.
Okay, that's it.
Although, that's a good question, Mike.
Thanks. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I want to commend Mr. Poach, Chief Cole, Paul Hugas, and others who stepped up to the plate when Mr. Sheets collapsed here in our facility. That brings me to another thing on defibrillators. Businesses, it's very important to have a defibrillator and a trained person. If it wasn't for our emergency crew stepping in, it might have been a different outcome. So thank you for your quick responses, and it's just exciting to see people in action. I've never seen it before. It was a real experience for me. So thank you again, and Mr. Sheets, good luck to you in the days to come. Want to send my prayers to Steve Wolfram as he attends his dad, and speedy recovery for him. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Biondo?
Yeah, like everyone, prayers for Steve and his family, as well as condolences to Ms. Gatus. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And I will echo some of my colleagues up here, but to once again, kudos to Mr. Poach and Chief Cole and everyone involved on Thursday. And to piggyback on what Mr. Williams was starting to talk about as far as the AEDs and the training and things of that nature, I want to get council support on having us as a municipality work on recertifying or training our employees if they so desire. I know in the years past, we've offered that at the municipal level. We could contract out and have somebody, if an employee wants to get CPR certified and AED training, that we could provide that for them. So Does council have any problems with that, of looking into that?
I think you have in-house people. or-
Yeah, I was just gonna, yeah.
Yeah, we do, in the police
Quite a few, I
department,
think.
the police department maintains, because they have to.
Correct.
Okay.
Couple of public works guys
Pierre
are
and,
one.
who else? I believe-
Yeah, so if
well, they
Mr.
maintain-
Little, maybe you could maybe float that out to the employees, and that's something we can coordinate, and I don't know how, I know with some people in-house that can do it, how big of a class can they have? Do they do it with a certain amount of people? Maybe just kind of see what the interest is for employees and offer that, because that, Thursday was definitely an eye-opener on many levels, and the importance of the AED, and those things are only as good as the training that, of the people that are around it whenever these events happen. Now, we are very fortunate of the robust response we had here and the amount of people that were experienced when this happened, but that's not always the case. So let's look into that a little bit. Mr. Little?
Nick, one thing, not just employees, I'd like council included on that,
Absolutely. No, most certainly.
okay?
No,
I'm
I-
sitting next to you guys, I need all the help I can.
Right, exactly.
He's really
That's
big.
great. And then, yeah, wishing Steve, Mr. Wolfram and his family the best, and same thing with Mr. Sheets, wishing him a very speedy recovery. So with that, I'd like to seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.